Hi, and welcome to this open webinar related to the collective field and transition into the mutual field. My name is Marianne Lane. I am a Danish shaman of the new era, and I have these open webinars to invite you into this perspective, these visions about how we are in a transition. And this transition, creates a new foundation for our reality, a new foundation for our consciousness. You can participate in different levels. You can participate in the energy with your intention, and you can participate through the words and the resonance to what it will bring. I open the field of the new era, the field that's in this transition, and where I will share with you the visions, the knowledge, the recognitions that I have collected since 2012. If you choose to participate in the energy, sense your body. Breathe. Create a desire to open your sensitivity by choice. Sense your body, the state of being right now, the energy, and set your intention on participation. And we begin with an alignment with the new era field of consciousness. The new era field of consciousness created by our usage of technology. So it's pretty new, fresh. And it has a special availability, an availability for the part of our consciousness that previously in our reality have had difficulties in being born, being manifested, created. And that's a part of our consciousness beyond survival system, beyond fear, beyond needs. That part of our consciousness have had difficulties in creating itself in a continuous version, a carried version with the foundation, the creation of the consciousness related to the fear and the needs in opposition have been so strong, the strongest in the universe. So we could call that the old era version. The old era version has created partly creation of collective consciousness. So when we can be together in our fear and our needs, when we can assign ourselves to the same fears, the same needs, that creates a kind of stable collective field, connected field of consciousness. But as these created itself thousands of years ago in the enhanced version, ignited 10,000 years ago, an oddity opened related to the distances we're creating to the ones that we can't relate to within our fears and our needs. So when we can't relate, we distance each other, creating an answer subtle diversity or divergence. Maybe you recognize this. So in the old era, the collective fields have these subcultural creations related to culture, related to beliefs, related to how we resolve the fears and meet the needs. And the special creation with these unstable versions is that they're dragging the positive energy within itself into the center of these mutual field of consciousness, and the negative energies goes to the edge of it. The different collective fields meet each other on the edge with negative energy. And we have created the strongest motor, the strongest power creation of negative energy in the universe by this. Maybe you know the sense of really strong negative energy when you together are in an opposition to something or someone. Maybe you've been observing it here and there and everywhere, observing how strong this negative collective energy can be. Sense how it can put a pressure on you, ignite more fear, more needs, ignite this, dragging the energy into a group and creating negative edges, boundaries towards other groups. This creation of non-stable collective fields has also created an oddity, a way where we have different realities that doesn't match. And we have created empty consciousness without conscious consciousness. Because the fields created, the collective fields created with love, peace, and harmony and recognition within each other, they have been weak compared to the non-stable versions. So in the old era, the fields for love, peace, and harmony, recognition, mutuality, they've been degraded and destructed and been kind of swallowed up by the destable ones. I don't know if this makes sense to you. It's something that I've been studying with the visions and the inner communication since 2012. allow it to be something that invites you to resonate with it, see if it makes sense, see if your consciousness recognize this from within. The reason why it's important for us to have any knowledge about this, especially in these years we are in, is because it's shifting. So the creation of the new era field of consciousness with the usage of technology creates the possibility for the mutual field with a stable foundation. And the stable foundation is founded on wisdom, taking care. You could call it being responsible, multidimensional responsibility. And multidimensional responsibility and love would be accordingly to each other and through time be the same. The recognition of everybody being equally important and the courage to see and to make choices accordingly to the love and the wisdom, and opening for the love and the wisdom that opens for recognition of equality and the courage to see and to make choices within the possibility to create a reality that makes sense and long-term stability. This possibility opens with the new field of consciousness, and it was born into a reality in 2012. And nobody in the universe have had the ability to foresee how this will progress, how this will evolve. In 2012, the shift in December opened to the fifth dimensional capacity in the mutual field of the gathered earth people. And we could reach this through our intention and the newer field of consciousness. And since 2012, we have grown into this with the usage of technology, and a huge part of our consciousness, the empty consciousness, the void that couldn't relate, that couldn't find itself, mirror itself within the need and the fear, that part of our consciousness mirror itself, finds itself in the mutual field of consciousness from fifth dimension, where the heart carried intention ignites. Since 2012, we have grown into the seventh dimension, and as a subtle occurrence in the later part of 2025, we ignited from 7th dimension into 13th dimensional carriage. So the creature we are can carry consciousness until the 7th dimension. And then by the support from the eternal soul that is love, we can carry until the 12th, no, until and with the 12th dimension, until the 13th dimension. And the 13th dimension is the threshold line for our ability to carry consciousness into our reality. So, without anybody foreseeing it, in the later part of 2025, the 13th dimensional availability ignited in the newer field of consciousness. And as a result of this, in January 2026, the part of the most distant part of our consciousness for all of us, everybody incarnated here. Everybody incarnated January 2026. The part of the consciousness most distant to fear and need, most distant to be able to relate to a reality, merged into the newer field of consciousness, creating the mutual field of the gathered earth people here on earth. Not foreseen, opening and creating a shift where perhaps 5% of our consciousness began to rest upon the mutual field of the gathered earth people, and the rest still related to, still reflecting within the fear and the needs. But the 5% was enough for us to be able to reach the support brought in through incarnations, through thousands of years, to support this shift if it would appear, if it would happen as it is now. In the visions I've been entering and been joining in the inner communications, this shift is related to what's called the prophecies A, B, and C. And prophecy A and B was foreseen not to be able to exist at the same time. But again, in the end of 2025, they merged, they fusionated. And by that, the possibility for some of the people to create, to carry the mutual field of the gathered earth people. No, sorry. The energy is so strong. Just a second. Allow me to align again. Okay. So, when prophecy A and B can exist at the same time, the meaning is that we can have different timelines for our birth, our growth of the mutual field of earth people, the part of our consciousness becoming consciousness, that we have different timelines, each and every one of us. And these different timelines have shown to be cross-cultural, cross-historical, cross-geographical. And that's the reason why they can exist at the same time. So all over the globe, people will be awakened into this mutual field where we carry a consciousness that supports each other, like we know it from the internet, where each of our devices carry a capacity, and these devices expand their capacity through the mutual field on the internet. The capacity to carry the programs, for how the programs become interactive, how the programs become intelligent, how our devices becomes intelligent. That's leaning upon the mutual field of our technology, the internet carriage. Same wise, our consciousness begins to lean upon the mutual field, not the collective field, but the mutual field, where our consciousness creates a level, stable field of consciousness. So the old field of consciousness were different compartments, dragging positive energy to the center, forcing negative to the edge, negative energies meeting each other, creating power creating negative energy by fear and needs. Old era. New era version, leveling, mutuality, distribution of a fair carriage of consciousness, where our consciousness can recognize itself beyond fear and needs. So cross-culture, cross-geographical areas, cross-ages, we have different timelines for this merging, opening into becoming the mutual field of the gathered earth people. So how can we recognize this? There will be a shift from within where you will sense another relation to fear and need. An automatical growth of a containment in another level of your reality and what makes sense to you. The ignition of the negative energies and how you can be dragged into, pulled into something you're really not relating to, sensing this strong negative energy against anything, anyone, will be dismissed or will no longer exist without you doing anything. And you sense that you begin to do something different than before. Choose different. Use your consciousness awareness time different. And this is something that can shift soft, slow, mildly. So we can kind of lose the to see it. We can miss it. But if you look out for it, if you observe yourself, you will sense it. You will sense this shift, this difference, and you will also see this shift in our reality. The 4th of April, 2026, there will be an opening from this 3rd of April, today in the nighttime, when it shifts all over the globe, waves of these different timelines opening in the mutual field of consciousness for the gathered earth people, shifting from the collective field in the old era into the mutual field of the new era, will happen. How far it will go, how many will join in on the different timelines, nobody knows, but it's here. And if you joining in the energy work here, also if you're participating afterwards, later on, it will support you to join in the timeline for this opening relating to your highest possibility, your highest version of this shift, where we have different fate lines, and our fate lines, somebody have a track on this, and somebody knows about our different fate lines and how we now exist in reality, where fate lines shift from day to day. And the system where they take care of our fate line, they can see what timelines make most sense to us. So we can use the shift, we can use the energy in our webinar here to be supported into the timeline that makes most sense to us due to our fate lines, relating to our fate lines, according to our fate lines. I don't know if any of this makes sense to you. It's kind of an adventure, and it's happening. Sense how you relate to it, sense it with your resonance. And please comment if you have any questions, any sharing relating to this, and I will try to answer to your questions, to your comments as good as I can. Not so many here today on the live as I can see it. So maybe you come by later on with the questions, and then I will answer afterwards. Breathe. Soft, deep. One of the things that really brings me hope is in the visions and in the communications, how I can see and how I'm shown that this is beyond beliefs, this is beyond understanding, this is our subconsciousness, this is our non-conscious consciousness that relates to a kind of magnetic force or a new kind of gravity for our consciousness. So instead of our consciousness relating to the gravity of fear and need, it shifts into a gravity of long-term stability and long-term progress and evolution that at the same time will completely align with the fear and the needs, both in the long and the short term frame of reality. So the reality we're creating here, founded on the fear and the need, if you look upon it from the higher and broader perspective, there's no sense to it. There's no sense to anything that happens through fear and needs that will give your fear and your need salvation, solution. Everything related, everything founded on fear and need will create more fear and need. And the underlying driving forces for need and fear is to have it released and fulfilled. So when we create a reality on the foundation of fear and need that creates more and fear and needs, that's beyond, that's without dedication, that's without direction, it's without the underlying intention of the fear and the need. So when we creating through our mutuality the long-term stability, that will be the answer, that will be the solution to the underlying intention for the fear and the need. And when this ignites, when this opens, and it opens across geographical areas, across culture, across beliefs, and open where there's the most space for this within and outside of self, and with the connection through the internet. The fate lines for the gathered earth people get stronger every day for the creation of the mutual field of consciousness and the reality according to this, that gives salvation to the underlying intention of fear and needs. And when this happens, fear and needs will shift into what it's originally intended to give us a sign, a signal, give our system, our consciousness a sign, a signal for that there's something we need to take care of. And then we need to take care of it in a way that meets it, so we will not create more of it. When this happens, our civilization, our reality will be completely shifted into something where we will have difficulties in imagining it right now. And when when my consciousness struggle to, contain this, to grasp this, when I'm in the vision and in the communications, I remember my childhood, where we didn't have our devices. We didn't have the creation of reality founded on the internet and our devices. When I remember this, go back and sense this, sense our consciousness, sense how reality was carried, sense how it was in a completely other pace, another velocity. How everything had a resistance that couldn't be overcome, related to time and distance. And to now, where we practically have no boundaries through time and space, distance, that we can reach each other without seeing each other, without meeting each other. We are in a need in the collective field, in the old era field, with the dragging of the positive energy and the forcing of the negative energy. We relate to each other in the negativity or in the non-consciousness, finding all the errors, all the ways, all the reason for not being mutual, for not being in the same frame. In the shift, all this capacity, all the creation in non-consciousness shifts into an availability to consciousness. So the shift technically and in reality, in the structures, in how everything happens, how everything goes on, can shift in a really short amount of time and with a really short amount of energy put into this. Maybe you can relate to this, maybe this inspires you, maybe it brings you a little bit of hope. Making sense? This was my sharing about the collective field and the mutual field. If it's interesting to you, if you sense it gives you more than the time you use for this, look to my other webinars and the different things I'm sharing in my YouTube channel, The Word of Consciousness, and my Facebook site as well with Marianne Lane. There's a Danish version and an English version as well. I sense that we are here now, and this is landing. So without any sharings and questions, I would like to thank you for this time together here, what we shared, and for you to listening to my entrance to this, my perspective, what I collected through the work. Thanks for the story. Thank you so much. See you here and there and everywhere.